Whew. Wow. Yeah. Boy, was I coughing up a lung this morning. Well, last night and yesterday. And you never know where you catch these variants. Like, again, all these different variants out there, whatever they are, flu, COVID, whatever virus that someone's projecting into the atmosphere, it could be in your food, it could be in your water, it could be in the air, it could be from someone that you just hung out with for a minute and you caught it from someone else who hung out with that person. It's like, I can't even lay blame. I just have to know that this is what I have to deal with. But yeah, I was feeling okay. My husband came home, on Friday or whatever, but you know how things incubate. So you can hang out with someone, everything's great, you're all having fun and everything, and then you start coughing and you feel the mucus come up. And you're like, oh shit. I didn't feel any sugar drops, but I definitely felt a little bit of hunger. And then it was the coughing out. It was actually the blowing my nose. That's why I said, when you blow your nose, that's you releasing all that stuff that you feel that's caught in your throat, in your sinuses. And so then I'm watching a bunch of Netflix stuff and I'm getting these different terms like mutually assured. Mutually assured destruction is unsupported energy conversion. Totally true. Because when you think about it, mutually assured destruction is a war tactic. It's a war term. It says that if you're going to, throw a nuclear bomb over here and then someone counterattacks and basically just levels everything, that's a mutually assured destruction. And then you look at how things are done in the medical holistic system. You're using so much aggressive, toxic sludge to stop life. I mean, when you're taking nuclear waste and you're pouring it over a beautiful pond, that's what people do when they're taking detoxes. When you're taking a laser to go stop life, it's like you're taking a direct energy weapon and you're basically annihilating a village or starting fire somewhere. We hear about that conspiracy, but it's not even a conspiracy. We know about laser weapons. Star Wars told us about laser weapons, the lightsabers. They were used to go and cut off the heads and kill people, right? I mean, as far as Star Wars is concerned. And so when you look at things at the micro level, what people do to themselves on the micro level, and you look at what they do at the macro level, and you look at what the movies and then what the military has been able to do, and then you look at the medical healing world, okay, and them using such aggressive herbs, aggressive like pollutants. What's a pollutant? Because I had to really wrap my mind around pollutants. What's a pollutant? When you have to build T cells and B cells, when you have to build so much T cells that your body then goes into mucus, or it works against you, where your own immune system basically devours you. That's the Ouroboros, is when you can give life to yourself, you can fertilize yourself, and then you can slay yourself, okay? And so everything is self-induced, but the reason why this is such a strategic war that's going on, because it is a war. Oh my God, it's a war. But it's a war between you and your fellow man. Yes, it's been supported by the medical holistic industry that keeps promoting aggressive therapies against your own human DNA, but your friends and family have taken part in it, and now they are coming to terms with their decisions, and it's being released when they get exposed to something aggressive like a new virus that wakes up their immune system, or they get an immunotherapy, but whatever, okay. It wakes up their immune system, and everything they've ever done that's been toxic or polluted to their own system now is being emitted out to the atmosphere. So all the pollutants that were inside your body not only is replicating because it's being woken up, but it's also being projected out there to the people who are going to have to figure out how to deal with it. Not everybody deals with these pollutants correctly. I mean, when you think about it, biochemical pollution is no different than environmental pollution. But we don't have anyone out there that goes and tests the biochemical, except for the CDC. But we know how that shit goes. And so I was making so many connections as I was laying in bed, whether I'm sleeping or blowing my nose or pooping or whatever. or eating. And so when you think about energy conversion, it has to be supported with food. And I didn't do any of the JJ's. I just ate a higher sodium diet. I'm going to make some cracker ball soup today. But I am trusting my own immune system to develop the antibodies and the B cell memories to protect me against one trillionth of a freaking variant out there. Okay? Because there's going to be so many more that I'm going to have to protect myself from. And I have to release. I drink water, I eat food, I have to replenish. Why do you think people lose so much weight when they have the flu? Because they're using so much energy to convert. And so this is the law of thermodynamics in this society, in this simulation, is that people don't survive entropy because whenever their body gets exposed to these new variants, the energy conversion is zapping the energy. So they might have more substance to them. Yeah, there are people who are obese, but they're aging quickly. And so all those little microbes, those little T cells and B cells are all cannibalizing them, accelerating the maturation process, the aging process. And they could still have a hormonal imbalance and still have a lot of substance, but they're aging quicker. Or they have parts of their systems under attack by the vast amount of T cells and B cells that are coagulating and then causing so much growth, because on this end there's so much stuff that is being eaten alive or being eaten up, and so nature tries to balance it out. But that's so when you actually feel these variants. Now again, I was fine on Friday. I was fine when my husband came home. So what happens when my husband comes home and I go, get stuff, I go out to eat or whatever, or I get stuff delivered to me. So I'm taking on new variants. Takes me at least probably maybe if it's not Saturday or Sunday, Monday. Today I'm actually feeling like okay, but it'll take me a couple of days to recover, so I'll be okay for like Wednesday, Thursday. So really, and this happened too when I was in the PMS stages way back, or PMDD stages way back like 10, 15 years ago, when I go to work and I have to take Monday off because I would get my period or be like a couple weeks from my period, and then on the weekend everything's fine during the week. I'd be doing stuff, I'd be going to my job, coming back, so I'd be in like a relatively homogenized microbiome, and then I go and hang out with I go different places on the weekend, and then I'm feeling so tired and so run down on Monday. So I'm like, hey, I gotta call in sick, and this is even the 2 weeks before my period, so that would be the start of everything going down that road. And so this reminds me of that, is that it takes me a couple of, so I was always evolving even before all this Jilly Juice stuff and COVID stuff. I was always feeling my environment, and I was always calling in sick. And people thought that was being lazy. And so what it was that, you can call it a chronic condition, but it really is that I was more sensitive to the environment, and I could feel stuff. And instead of me taking drugs to stop it and have it mutate me and turn into something else later, I actually dealt with it and said, okay, I'm calling in sick. Fine. If I have to go to this job, just this job, and not carry on a longevity with any of these jobs, fine. But I was then turned me into a great salesman, and I knew my skills, and I knew I can get shit done quick. And then I figured out what field would be a good thing, would be like sales, where I could, work towards a specific goal and take a rest for a minute, work towards a specific goal. So more entrepreneurial. And that's how I was able to kind of survive. But even then, that wasn't going to work because things were going downhill pretty quick. So I figured out a different way. But I was actually evolving every single time I was exposed. So even before the COVID, the environment was aggressive. The reason people didn't feel it is because they were distracted, under the influence, and on their prescription drugs, or they had all the different injections and things that, Botox and whatever, or steroids or other types of painkillers. So they never felt anything. And those are the curses. The cures are the curses. And so then you realize that was the old simulation. Now we're in a new simulation where everything we've ever done ever since modern medicine existed is going to now bite us in the ass. Oh, it's biting everybody in the ass right now. And everything that you were kind of used to as far as the rate of birth and the rate of death, it's going to accelerate. People die from birth. People die from death. People die from a lot of evolution, a lot of growth, right? That's called cancer. So when you see the environment accelerate as far as the energy and the birth rate and the death rate accelerate, increasing in intensity, not everybody survives that. And so in a lot of ways, so then this is why staying home more than not is going to be better for those that don't weigh as much. People who weigh a lot more can probably, it just depends. I mean, even then, weight isn't always a determining factor if you can survive this aggressive environment, because you may have predispositions and vital organs that will get compromised before anything else. And so you may look like you are relatively robust, that you could probably handle this. But if you have vital organ issues, then yeah, the environment will cannibalize those first, because those are the weakest. You're only as strong as your weakest link. And if your weakest link is in your vital organs, then it doesn't matter what size you are, you won't survive this. So that's why you have to really take the time to regenerate. Take the time to rebuild. If you know your predispositions, then you're one leg up, over someone who doesn't know their predispositions. And so if you know you have heart issues in your family, if you know you have liver issues in your family, if you know you have brain issues in your family, then you take the time and you don't keep tempting fate. Because it's that aggressive out there. It is seriously that aggressive. And I know I keep saying this, but I mean, yeah. And so anyways, I did a lot of the writing stuff like on Facebook, because I am trying to get my thoughts together when it comes to programming. When it comes to every institution that we practice out there, whether it's marriage, divorce, funerals, degrees, every milestone that you have been told is an accolade. Every single conflict, whether it's war or all the different isms, it's all different types of programming, and we still need to assimilate to each other, embrace the diversity, have more tolerance. But if you're intolerant in biophysically, you're going to be intolerant, well, financially, you'll be intolerant spiritually and intellectually. Because the more narrow place you come from, the less you're open to new information, new people, new ways of doing stuff, new lifestyles, new belief systems. And so that's what the New World Order is targeting, are those who are intolerant physically, which translates intolerance in intellectually. Because if you can't take in new information, then you won't be able to change with the programming. You won't be able to change with the corporations. Shit, I mean, the poor trucking industry, they went through a major a shift from the paper logs to the e-logs. So many old timers in the trucking industry quit because they couldn't assimilate from the paper logs to the e-logs. They felt it was an affront against, their freedom, because they wanted to run two different logs. Which, okay. And so you can't get away with running two different paper logs when you're doing an e-log, because then everything is GPS and all that. And so anyway, so there's a lot of people who are intolerant to the changes. And people need to slow down. You don't need half as much money as you think. You don't need half the crap that's out there as you think. And so that's kind of the new world we're going into. But I wanted to just kind of give you an update of what's going on in my world. Because, yeah, writing this book is going to be a struggle right now, just because of getting used to knowing and expecting that I'm going to have to be down for a couple days. And so it'll take me a better part of the summer to write this. So I probably won't submit my manuscript until probably the fall. Because I really must get my thought process in order, and then go and take everything that I've written and take out a lot of stuff that I wrote in it. And so when you evolve this quickly, when you adapt this quickly to the new conditions, everything that you've ever done or written or whatever is going to change. And you're going to have to look at and juxtaposition what you did before and what now, how you're going to, change it and transition so this change isn't so shocking. Because I'll tell you, staying home now, I really cherish it. I love staying home because I know how aggressive it is out there, especially when my husband and all the different, delivery services, they bring stuff to you. They bring all the different variants. You want to have a different food because you're tired of eating the same food and you want to go eat out. Yeah, there's going to be viruses in that too. Yeah, you're supposed to adapt. Yes, you're supposed to adapt. But again, this environment is super, super, super aggressive. And if you're not feeling these variants, if you're not feeling them, and it's going to work against you. Because all that mucus that I coughed out the last couple of days and blew out yesterday and the day before, if that stays inside of you, it'll work against you. The fact that every single time I get exposed to something that's aggressive, that causes my body to go into inflammation or triggers my immune system, the fact that I get rid of it as soon as it comes through after it incubates for however long, has bought me another, who knows how long, has bought me another minute, day, year. Because if you can imagine, with these aggressive viruses causing inflammation in people, the bigger the virus, the more that it will upgrade you, but the more mucus will be developed from that. And so if you look at each virus equals adding a year or two on someone's life with the food supply, or subtracting a year or two of someone's life with the food supply, and you haven't done your resets and everything as far as the salt water, at least annually, then you can see how often when you get exposed to a virus, if you're not releasing that mucus exponentially without using something like J-Juice as a catalyst, if you're not exercising your diaphragm, then you're keeping the negatives inside of you that are going to take away years off your life. And that's the real truth of it. And that's what I'm seeing, is that right now, in this world right now, this is what I'm going to have to get used to. Is when I am out with people, if I do go out with people for whatever reason, I'm going to have to recover from it, like I said. But this is just more confirmation. And then you start seeing the programming and everything. And if you're well versed in the conspiracy world, like the Freemasonry, the Catholic Church, and all the different higher power, spiritual, energy healing type of background, then you'll make the connection that the whole healing world, medical, holistic, is one giant negative. They're not doing anything to add more to your life. If anything, they're taking more years off your life. But the perception, it's easy to, with marketing, it's easy to paint a perception they're saving you, but they're not saving you. And so the way to save your life is to stay home more than not, release some mucus without using so many catalysts, but you actually exercise your diaphragm to get it out, and you keep feeding yourself. But not only feeding yourself the food, but feeding your brain. Because the more that you increase your vocabulary, increase the kinetic energy in your brain with concepts, with words, with hearing yourself, speaking stuff, writing stuff, the more that you will then realize that you can develop new simulations. And when the environment calms down, because then this is when I'll be like, holy crap, it is a simulation. When the environment calms down and I can be out there without a mask or be around my husband or anyone else, and I don't have some kind of reaction a couple days later. But that's not going to be for a long ass time. And so this is the new normal, is that you will either be out there, live your life as if nothing has changed, take on all those different viral RPGs, stop the mucus with all your different medicines, and then you are holding those little bugs inside of you, and they will eat away at you until there's nothing left, or go out minimally, take on the environment minimally, and then you can evolve to that and temper the evolutionary process so the energy conversion isn't cannibalizing you, And you can survive this world, this crazy world right now, in this major decline, in this transition. And it's going to be a fight. That's why they were doing the whole human habitation zone and all the high-speed rails connecting one human habitation zone to another, and allowing biodiversity to finally be free and do whatever it needs to do. Because the more you compact a bunch of people together who are at different levels of decline, and you have new little variants in the environment, it is like a Hunger Games. It's a fight to the death microbially. You are in a microbial war. You got to survive it, dudes and dudettes. You got to survive it. And I'm seeing the writing on the wall, and it's crazy. All right, bye.